All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is another Friday, the first Friday of the second half of the year 2024. It's another exciting time here in the studio at the Corporate Live Show with Mark Aiden. My name remains Adene Makati, and tonight is no exception. And before I go on, I just want to first apologize to everyone out there that have been waiting behind. I mean, for this show to come live. Now we are live, and we apologize for the technical glitches we encounter while we're setting up for the show. Thank you very much for waiting by, and we are going to be starting the show immediately because of our time. We don't want to waste much time so that we can catch up with the time lost already. Thank you very much. This is the Corporate Live Show with Mark Aiden. This show takes place every Friday evening by 7 p.m. And tonight we'll be discussing a very important topic. My guest is already in the studio and is here with us to discuss this topic. Remember, evaluating the first half of the year for adequate preparation for the second half of the year. And that is what we'll be talking about. And this discussion cut across those who are in business and those who are gainfully employed. And if you are not employed, it is also another opportunity for you to learn. Thank you very much for staying on the show tonight. And we're going to call our guest into the show, into the studio tonight. And of course, is someone we all are familiar with and we all know him. And we all are excited to have him on the show. And he's no other person than Mr. Alo Olatokunbo and Akin by name. Thank you very much, Mr. Akin, for joining us on the show tonight. How do you feel about the conversation we'll be having tonight?
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure to be here with us tonight. It's an awesome time, and I believe that everyone that's going to be watching, wherever you'll be watching from, you're going to get refreshed, you're going to get blessed, and our discussion tonight is going to be something that is going to benefit your business, your brand, your life, and every areas of your life as you be watching us. Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Adeni Makati Makaden. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. Thank you. We want to quickly go into the conversation because of our lost time, and we don't want to lose further time on the show tonight. And that is why we're going straight to the first question. As a professional, what are the key factors? What are the key performance indicators, which we all know as KPI, to review when evaluating the first half of the year?
All right, thank you so much for that question. As an individual or as an organization, you need to identify your areas of productivity. You need to look at your productivity and efficiency, either as an organization or as an individual. Which areas have you been able to be productive? Which areas have you been effective? Which areas have you been efficient in the first half of the year? And then you also need to look at your sales and revenue growth. Has there been sales in the first half of the year? When you are able to identify these areas of you are able to check this index, and you see that there is growth, you see that there is productivity, you see that there is efficiency. These are going to help you in preparing and forging ahead in the second half. And also, if it now happens that the productivity level is low, if it happens that the efficiency is low, if it happens that your growth is low, your sales and revenue growth are low, then there's a need for you to also sit down and identify probably what are the root causes. When you evaluate all these things, it's going to help you in checking what are you going to focus on in the second half of the year. And that is why what we are doing tonight is so important. either as an individual or as a brand or as an organization. So let me take those things that
All
you need
right.
to check again: sales and revenue growth, the productivity and
Mm-hmm.
efficiency, and also you need to
Mm-hmm.
check your customer satisfaction index. Are your customers
Mm.
satisfied with what you have done in the first half of the year? If it happens that your customers are not satisfied, then that calls for attention. And if they
Mm.
are satisfied, then the attention that you need to give to it is, how are we going to improve on this customer satisfaction that is improving or increasing? So those are three major points or three major areas that you need to identify, you need to evaluate in the first half of the year as you prepare for the second half of the year. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. Those are precise response to the question, and I'm sure that if you are joining us right away, I mean right now, you have your notes already coming to half of the page as you jot down those key points for the conversation tonight. Remember, evaluate how much you have been able to do in the past so that you can have a productive year, I mean month ahead of the year. And that is what we're having this conversation over tonight. And Mr. Akin will be dealing with those questions as it may affect you or as it may bother you. And then please feel free to drop your thoughts and opinion based on the conversation. You may have something to share with us as we continue the conversation. Question two, quickly, as a professional, career or business person, how do you assess progress towards long-term goals? Because yes, we have short-term goals and we have long-term goals. Long-term goals during the mid-year. This is the mid-year. So how do you do that?
All right. To evaluate, to do that, you need to evaluate your achievements and your progress. Which area have you been able to achieve something tangible in the first half of the year? Which areas have you made progress in the first half of the year? That is the first thing that you need to identify. You need to identify areas where you have been able to you have been able to achieve something tangible, and which areas you have challenges. So the areas where there have been achievements, you need to evaluate your achievements. You need to evaluate also your challenges. As we continue in this conversation, I'm still going to talk about the areas of your strengths and your weakness. But under this second question that we are looking at, you need to evaluate your achievements. What have you
Mm,
been, either as an individual or as a brand or as an organization? You need to evaluate your achievements and also your challenges. We can't deny the fact that there are challenges, whatever country, whatever field, whatever sector your organization is, there are challenges. So you need to evaluate those challenges as well, and then you need to evaluate your and identify areas that call for improvement,
mm-hmm,
the areas where you need to improve as we step into the second half, and even as we go through the remaining part of the year. You need to identify areas that call for improvement. You know, it's been discovered that the largest room in the world is the room of improvement. In other words, no matter how good you are, there are still certain things that you need to improve on. There are still certain things that you need to learn. There are still certain things that you need to be trained on so that you can improve on those things. Then you also need to adjust your goals and objectives if there need be. And as we
mm,
progress, you will see that there will be need for you to even adjust your goals in
mm-hmm,
some particular areas. Now, when you adjust your goals, for instance, if in the first half of the year you were not able to achieve certain goals, that does not mean you should remove those goals from your list. What you need to do is adjust the goal so that it can still fit into the organizational goal, can still fit into your individual goal. And as you step into the second half of the year, you will know that, oh, this is still part of my goal. Because I've not been able to achieve it in the first half of the year, that does not mean I should now remove it or zap it from my list. Then you create action plans that are specific for the second half. So you
Mm,
create the action plan, the action plan that, okay, these are my goals for this second half. You can bring forward, or you can transport or transfer the ones that we are not able to achieve in the first half. You can transfer them to the second half, but make it specific, make it smart, like we used to say. Make it smart,
mm,
make it specific, measurable, make it achievable, make it realistic. And then
mm,
we now know that we only have 6 months remaining, so it should be time bound. So you set
mm,
action plans, you set your goals as you have. Not that because you're not able to achieve it in the first half, then you forget it. No. So those are the things that you need to do in, in order to answer this second question as we continue the program.
all right. Make your goals achievable, and to make your goals achievable, make it smart, and be ready to
Yeah,
adjust your goal. And an adjustable goal is a smart goal. I think so. And
yeah,
I
yeah.
want to comment on that. Comment on that point, and I wish you all the best of the second half of the year. But then the show has not come to an end. This is the still the Corporate Life Show with Mark Aiden. This show takes place every Friday evening, where we bring in professionals, masters of industries, to educate us on different areas of lives as it may affect you, a professional, an entrepreneur, a career-driven person, or a business person. So tonight is no exception. We're still talking about evaluating the second half of the year for a productive second half. I mean, evaluating the first half for a productive second half. So that's what we'll be discussing. And with me in the studio tonight is Mr. Akin, and he has been doing so well with each of the what questions. So we're going straight to question three. And question three, yeah. Question three. In question three, we have what I mean in question three, what strategies can be employed to adjust goals? Because earlier on you mentioned your goals should be adjustable. So what
Yeah.
strategies can be employed to adjust goals and objectives for the second half of the year?
All right. Thank you so much for that question. And it's so important that we look at this question. And I want those that are watching us to pay rapt attention to what I want to say now. Number one thing is uh, you need to reprioritize.
Hmm.
Yes, you need to reprioritize. You reevaluate your priorities. The things that you were not able to achieve in the first half, you need to know what caused it. Why was I not able to achieve this? Or why is our organization not able to achieve this in the first half? Then you now need to reprioritize. You need to
Hmm.
reevaluate the priorities. Are we bringing what we are supposed to do second? Are we bringing it first? What we are supposed
Mm-hmm.
to do last, are we bringing it first? Are we looking at, for instance, let me give this instance. Maybe your number one goal should be customer satisfaction, but you are looking at your staff satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
So and you now realize that that didn't help you in the first half of the year. You were looking at how can we make our staff to be more comfortable at the expense of helping, or at the expense of carrying out what will make your customers to be satisfied. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
need for you to now re-strategize. There's a need for you to now evaluate that priority in order for you to be able to adjust your goals. Then you set new targets and deadlines. You
Mm-hmm.
set new targets and deadlines. Of course, you know that the initially at the beginning of the year, the deadline was 1 year, which that's 12 months. But
Mm-hmm.
now we've already spent 6 out of the 12 months. So in other words, the way you are going to set the goal in the second half is not going to be just for 6 months, and it's not even going to be for 1 year again. You now need to change the deadline to maybe 4 months. Within the next 4 months, these are the things that we need to achieve. These are the things that we need to do. So that is what you need to do. You set new targets and deadlines. Then you now need to break down the goals that you have set earlier. You, like I said, you set the goal for a year before now, but it is no longer a year again. It has become 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
or let's just say it has now become 5 months, because we're already in the sixth. So it's only 5 months that we have to achieve the goal, or to achieve the objective that we have for the year. All right, so that means you now need to change the deadline for that goal. You need to change the time bound for that goal. You
Mm-hmm.
now need to break down those goals into smaller tasks.
Mm-hmm.
As we progress, I will tell us how that when you break your goals into smaller tasks, as for instance, as an organization, one of the things you need to do is the staff, the task that you'll be giving to to your staff. There's a need for you to now ensure that, or to see to it that maybe a staff will now have an additional task, but there will be
Mm-hmm.
what you're going to provide in order for that staff to be able to achieve the new task. But you know that in order to achieve major strides in this second half, there are needs for you to put in certain things into place. In other words, your goals must be broken down, and by the time you break down your goals into tasks, your staff will have something extra to do in order to achieve the goal.
Thank
Did
you.
you get that?
Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Nicely put. And for me to crown it off, what I would just say is that since Mr. King focused on the illustration, I mean, in his illustration, uh, he focused on organization. I would say if you're listening to us and you are not a team lead in an organization, or you are not a business owner, you are not an entrepreneur, but I mean, you are an individual, you can also apply this knowledge shared on the show right now to yourself. So pick it, take yourself as
Yeah.
the organization that you need to work on, and then apply the knowledge that is being shared on this program tonight. So thank you very much, Mr. Akin. And we will continue with the conversation as we move to the next question, and which is question number 4. Question number 4 says, how do you identify and address potential obstacles? Because yes, you mentioned it earlier on that there will be obstacles, there will be challenges.
Yeah.
So how do you identify, I mean, how do you identify and address potential obstacles and challenges you encounter in the first half to avoid them in the remainder of the year?
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for that question. The first thing that one needs to do in that area is you need to reflect on your past experiences. You reflect on your past experiences. Yeah, what has been your experience, either as an individual or as a brand? Have you had positive experiences in the past? In the first half of the year, did you have positive experiences? Then you need to take note of those experiences. Then, secondly, you need to also identify, my experiences in the past, were they negative? If they were negative experiences, then you also take note of that, because either it is positive or negative, it's going to help you to know how to go about the journey in the second half of the year. And another thing that you need to do, very important, is to seek feedback from others. We are talking about how do you identify and address potential obstacles. So the second thing is ask for feedbacks. That is, those that you had business deals with in the first half, those that you related with, those that you collaborated with in the first half of the year, you need to ask them to give you feedbacks. I did that recently. I did a public speaking training for a lady in the United States, and we continued the conversation. Initially, when we finished the training, I was supposed to send a report to her about what I noticed in way of speaking before and what should be the way she'll be speaking after. So I sent that report to her and I told her that I will need you to give me a feedback on this. Number one, I want to use the feedback on my profile. I want to include the feedback on my website. So when you get that feedback, don't expect that every feedback will be positive. Some feedbacks will tell you this area, like I mentioned earlier about improvement. If there is no feedback, you will not know the areas that need improvement. So it is important that in order for you to identify and address potential obstacles in the coming months, in the coming years, you need to ask for feedbacks. Then you also need to analyze your data and the trends.
Mm.
Some organizations don't collate the data of what they have done in the past, so they can't tell you that as at 2015 we were not able to meet up with this target, but as at this time this is our target and we are meeting up with the target. That is data. Then in the area of trends, you also need to know what are the things in trend. What are the trending things in this my field? Are you a content writer? Are you a content creator? Are you a public speaker? Are you a professional in the banking industry? You need to know what are the trends in my field. What are the trending things? What are those things that people are vying for? What are those things that people are looking for? Then when you identify that, it will help you in order for you to be able to face any challenge that you may encounter in the second half. So number one, you reflect experiences, whether negative or positive. You seek feedback from others. On number three, you analyze your data and trends from past experiences, from the challenges of the past. You analyze your data and you analyze the trends so that you know which area are you going to be focusing on. What can you do to make to be among those that will be trending in your sector or in your niche, as we say it, or in your industry. So those are the things that you need to do in order to be able to do to answer this number 4 question. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. I have to allow that explicit explanation on question 4 because it is very, very important. Because I feel touched by the way you broke down the approach to how we can face challenges. And I must tell you, even for us, yeah, at the Corporate Life Show with Mark Aiden, we have some challenges that we face week in, week out as we bring this conversation to the view of our audience. But then we're going to take this feedback, like you mentioned, we're going to take this step backward to review everything that you have said. And of course, it's going to be of benefit to us. And I'm sure it's going to be of benefit to you that you are listening to us right now. And let's have this connection. If you are watching us right now, you are getting value from what we're discussing right now, drop a comment in the comment section so that we can know that yes, what we are discussing is actually having impact in someone's life, or it's going to have an impact in someone's organization in the coming weeks. of the year. So thank you very much, Mr. Akil, again for being here on the show. It's been a conversation so far so good, and we have quite a number of questions left for us to deal with on the show. And I don't think we'll be able to go on a break as we usually do. But then quickly, let's move on straight to question number 5 as we continue with the conversation. Remember, this is Corporate Live Show with Mark Aiden. This show takes place every Friday evening, 7 p.m. on the dot, every Friday. Join us. Next week we'll also be here. But before next week, we are here today. We are here today.
Yeah.
All right. So we are here today and we are on question 5. What role does self-reflection play in the mid-year evaluation process, and how can it enhance personal and professional growth?
All right. Can you display the question for me? All right. What role does self-reflection play in the mid-year evaluation? Now, the number one thing that self-reflection does is it helps us to identify the areas of strength and weakness. The areas of strength and weakness. Let me say something about that because it's so important that we identify these two areas. You know, there is what we call the SWOT principle or the SWOT analysis. That is your strengths, your weakness, opportunities, and threats. Now, when you are able to identify your strengths, what it will help you to do is it will help you to be able to know areas to focus your opportunities or to seek opportunities. When you know that you are strong in writing, little will you be looking for opportunities in speaking or painting or drawing or any other area that is not related to your area of strength. Now, also, when you are able to identify your area of weakness, it will also help you to know that this area, I need to avoid the threat that will be coming up in this area. Of course, I've said earlier that we cannot deny the fact that there will be challenges, there will be threats. So in order for you to overcome this threat, you need to identify your strengths and then you avoid the areas of weakness. You avoid the areas where threat to you. Then the second thing is when you are able to do that, when you're able to reflect on yourself, you need to also identify areas where you need to grow, areas where there's need for you to grow, areas where you need to improve, areas where you need to develop yourself more. There's no one that can say that he has finally arrived and does not need to improve or grow again. No. Anybody that has grown beyond growth is no longer living in this world. If you have grown beyond growth, and by growth, I'm not talking about the physical growth, I'm talking about mental growth, emotional growth, academic growth, and all those dimensions of growth that are not just in the physical realm. The growth that has to do with the focus that you have, the kind of people you want to meet. Is it the same people you met 5 years ago that you still want to meet now? And most of those that you met 5 years ago, some of them have gone into oblivion. They are no longer relevant. So there's need for you to meet new set of people. Then that means there's need for you to grow. All right. So when you do self-reflection, it helps you to areas for personal growth. And then the third thing that self-reflection does is it helps you to develop a growth mindset. You develop a growth mindset. Of course, when you identify that there's need for you to go through personal development, personal growth, then you now need to begin to have it in your mindset that I need to improve in this area, I need to grow in this area. Like we used to say, I'm a personal development expert, and in the field of personal development, we say that it is a lifelong affair. Personal development
Mm,
is a lifelong affair. Organizational development is a lifelong affair. I'm sorry to say this about Nigerian organizations. Hardly can you see an organization in Nigeria that is close to 100 years. Any organization that is up to 100 years in Nigeria, the foundation is not Nigeria based. But look
mm,
at some other countries, you'll see organizations that have been in existence for over 300 years, and you will see that they are not operating like they were operating in the 18th century. They are they are about 300 years, but they are still relevant in this age and this dispensation. There was a write-up by an organization recently. I'm not going to mention the name, but if when I mention what it's about, many of us will identify. It's about, the technology industry. We've had some time that in the past that the leading technology companies were having a particular product, and many people were rushing to get that product. But suddenly, when another organization introduced its own product in the same industry, this organization that people were rushing to get its product just went into extinction. And we're now discussing, we said, why should it be so? And one of the things I said, it was on a WhatsApp group, one of the things I wrote was that the organization was not moving with the trend. Yes, they were not
mm.
reflecting. They were not looking at where are we coming from, where are we, and where are we going to. These are the things that that we identify when we are doing self-reflection. So you now have that growth mindset. Yes, we want to continue the way we are operating, but how can we make it so that in this new age, in this new dispensation, what we are doing is still the same, but we are doing it in a way that it will attract the attention of those that are using it now. So when you do your self-reflection, these are the things you find your strengths and weaknesses, you recognize areas for personal growth, and then you develop a growth mindset. Those are the things that you need to do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Those are extensively explained for our understanding. And I'm sure we've gotten the best out of the conversation so far. And let's quickly go to I think I can see Caleb. I know we have more
Yeah.
people who have joined us on the show tonight. I can see Caleb, who has dropped a message saying good evening, joining from Ghana.
Ghana.
Oh, Caleb, thank you for joining us from Ghana, all the way from Ghana. A big shout out to Ghana. Thank you to Ghanaians over there. Thank you. And please, if you have joined us and you are watching us live right now, you know already that the content shared on this platform is of a necessity to every individual, especially if you're a professional or an entrepreneur. So you do your friend a favor by sharing the link, for them to also have access to this kind of information. Otherwise, the fact that you are the only one benefiting from this will not actually mean a lot and will not bring a lot of change as expected. So share this show, share what we're sharing here at the Corporate Life Show with all your contacts, and you can do that right away. Sure. Thank you very much. Let's quickly move on. Our time is fast spent, and I would like you to please respond to each question as it comes very fast because we are very much behind time right now. Because of our time, we'll be going straight to question C's, and in question C's, we have this question in question C's. How can individual businesses or career or professional prioritize tasks Because one thing you mentioned earlier was that we should prioritize. We should reprioritize. And that's the word from you. How can we prioritize tasks and focus on high impact activity for the second half of the year?
All right, thank you so much for that question. Without much ado, number one thing is you need to set clear goals and objectives. Set clear goals and objectives. By the time you are able to set your goals, then you now know that, okay, this is the most important goal for now. When you are able to do that, although there are some um, professional steps that can be taken, like using the Eisenhower matrix. You can also use that. You can use the Eisenhower. You can use another planner. You can use a task list or a planner to know that, okay, the this is the priority that we have set. But the number one thing is you must set your goals. Either you are transferring from the first half, or you are setting a whole new clear goals for the second half. You know, there are some organizations, there are some individuals that we first of all set their goals for half of the year. So if you are like that as an individual or as an organization, by the time we are preparing to, we've already stepped into the second half, but prior to this time, you should have set the goals for the second half of the year. That is the first thing. Then you now have a task list or a task planner that you will use. What will be our first task to achieve this goal, or to that we are going to use for the achieving of this goal? So that is number one. You set your goals for the 6 months or for the 5 months that are remaining. Then you have a task list or task planner that you are going to use to prioritize. You know the kind of achievements you want to have at the end of the year. So it is your achievement, your goal. What are you aiming at? That's what is going to sponsor how you set your priorities. So that is the answer that I want to give to that.
Wow. Set a goal, and then put a task planner ahead of yourself to be able to achieve that goal. Thank you very much. I like that precise response. And because of time, let's quickly move to the next question. Question 7. Question 7 is the next on the list for us tonight. And question 7 says, what method can individual use to track progress and maintain momentum throughout the second half of the year? Because challenges will want to draw you back, situations will want to pull
Yeah,
you down. So how do you maintain momentum?
yeah.
Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. Number one thing is you must identify when you have a win. When you achieve a goal, when you are able to complete a task, you should be able to identify. That is why, as I mentioned earlier, you set goals. No, so that means your goal is going to be your aim. Now, by the time you are able to achieve that goal, what you do is you celebrate your win. No matter how little the win may be, you celebrate your win. That is one of the things that we do a lot on LinkedIn. For those of you that are watching us on LinkedIn, I know we do that a lot. Sometimes it looks like some people are threatening us that you have not achieved anything, but it's not a threat. It is for you to also know that even if you are able to achieve a little thing, maybe you are getting your first gig, your first paid gig, uh, you need to celebrate. So if you don't celebrate, then you may even be stressed out if you don't celebrate. And if you are not careful, you will be looking at yourself as you are not achieving anything. So that is
Mm-hmm.
why when you set your goals and you're able to achieve at least one, you celebrate that goal. You celebrate. That thing is, you regularly review and adjust your plans. We are looking at methods that we can use to track our progress. You review your plans and, if possible, adjust. If you are not able to achieve a particular goal, you review. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And then you review, how do I correct this thing? Remember I mentioned getting feedback earlier. So when you get feedbacks, the feedbacks are meant to tell us these are the areas where you are doing right, these are the areas where you are doing wrong, and then you now need to merge the two, how to improve, how to continue. So number one, you celebrate your wins, and number two, you you adjust your plans and you evaluate what you have done so far. So with that, any individual can track progress and maintain momentum throughout the second half of the year.
Wow,
Thank
interesting, interesting. I think I will actually support that 100 times plus 100 times plus, or multiply by 100 times, because whether you like it or not, if you don't celebrate yourself, who
you.
will? And that
Who
is why
will?
it is very important to
Yeah.
celebrate one's goal. Thank you.
No.
Question 8, because of our time, we are far, 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 far behind schedule. So we're going straight to question 8. And question 8 is telling us something very important, very, very, very important to everyone, whether as an organization or as an entrepreneur or as an employer of labor. It's telling us something for us to do. And that is why we're considering this question once again. Question 8. Once again, question 8. Pardon me, please. How can the lesson learned in the first half of the year inform and improve decision making for remainder of the year?
Yeah. I'm doing a teaching later tonight, and part of my preparation for the teaching is because the teaching is on seasons. And one of the things that I've learned about seasons, either past seasons or seasons that we'll be entering into, is that there are lessons to learn. There are always lessons to learn. So I want to believe that if you are able to reflect on the first half, if you're able to review the happenings or the events of the first half of the year, there are lessons you have learned, and then that means you'll be able to identify successful strategies that you have used in the past. So number one is you'll be able to, by one of the lessons learned is you identify the successful strategies that you have applied in the first half. Like on LinkedIn, there are people that do regular challenges, and in the process of doing the challenges, one of the things they identify is what way can you make your post on LinkedIn to go viral, or in what way can you make your post on LinkedIn to reach the target audience. So it is because they have identified some successful strategies, that is why they are able to continue the challenges that they are having. All right, so when you one of the things that we need to learn is that you identify successful strategies that you have applied in the first half of the year. Then secondly, you'll be recognizing areas for improvement. We can't overemphasize improvement, either as an individual, as a brand, as an organization. We can't overemphasize improvement. So one of the lessons that we need to learn is that in what areas do I need to improve in this second half of the year. So recognizing for improvement, then adapting to changes or changing circumstances.
Mm.
You also need to
Mm-hmm.
identify that there are changes. I was on Instagram this afternoon, and I was just looking at the I don't want, let me just use the word bad content that content creators are now making. I just said to myself that CapCut will cause a lot of things in this dispensation, because
Mm.
when you see the way people use CapCut to do a lot of things now, if you are a content creator and you are saying, me, it's just my natural video that I want to be creating, you'll be left behind. So you need
Mm-hmm.
to now look at, okay, how do I adapt to the changing circumstances. So you need to learn the lesson from the past. That if in the past I didn't connect, or I didn't follow the trend, I didn't follow the circumstances or the changing situations, but now I have learned that if I continue doing that, it will not allow me to progress, it will not allow my organization to move, it will not allow my brand to be exposed, it will not allow my brand to reach the global stage. Because one of the things that I've learned is a business can start small but must not remain small. All right.
Mm.
So, in order for a business not to remain small, you need to expose yourself and begin to look at how can we adapt or adopt these new trends, and then how can we move in the same direction that these changes are occurring in the sectors that we belong to. All right. So,
Wow.
those are
Interesting.
the areas.
Interesting. Interesting. I want you to quickly respond to this in 1 minute, not more than 1 minute, because we are 3 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock, and we need to close the conversation for tonight in preparation for the next show. Question 9 is what can be taken to ensure, I mean, what steps can be taken to ensure a smooth transition into the second half of the year, building on the success and learning from the setback of the first half.
All right. Thank you so much. Number one, there are plans at the beginning of the year. Having gone to the second half of the year, you now need to review and adjust those plans. Number one, you review and adjust those plans to fit into this second half of the year. Whatever plan you have, either as an individual or as an organization, you need to review and then adjust the plans to fit the second half of the year. Then set clear goals and strategies. Set clear goals and strategies that you're going to use to achieve those goals. We can't overemphasize the importance of goal setting, and ensuring that those goals don't just sit on papers, we actualize them. There's something we call pursuing of your vision or pursuing of your
Mm,
goals. In other words, you don't just write the goals on paper, you need to go after it. You need to go after it in order for you to be able to achieve the goals. Then celebrate successes and learn from your setbacks. You celebrate successes. Like I mentioned earlier, you celebrate little wins. So as an organization, you celebrate your success. Maybe you are bidding for a contract and you are given the contract, you celebrate the the getting of the contract, and then you don't just celebrate, you don't only celebrate the contract, you also ensure that you carry out the exercise, you carry out the project, and you are able to achieve it. Thank you so much as we await the last question for tonight's uh, event. Over to you, sir. Hello. Hello, sir. Are you there? Hello, sir. Are you still there? I've answered the question. Can we go to the last question now? Can we go to the last question, please? Can we
Right.
go to the last question?
Yeah, we can go to the last question. Thank you very much. And the last question, of course, based on everything said so far, of course, we all like good stories, good success. We like to attach ourselves to success story. Then the question is, how then can we? How can we? I mean, pardon me, please.
No
How can
problem.
individual balance celebration of accomplishment with constructive criticism? Even though we sometimes people ask for feedback, they don't want to actually hear that feedback. That's the essence of this question. Some
Okay.
feedback are not tolerable. So some
Yeah.
people feel bad when they get such feedback. Instead of working on them, they feel offended. So how do we balance? How can individual balance celebration of accomplishment and with constructive criticism and areas of improvement during the media evaluation?
Okay. Yeah. You gave a clear picture of that question now, but to answer the question, we can't deny. Number one, you cannot deny achievements. So the first
Yes,
thing
Mr.
is
Akin, I would
you
like you
need
to
to,
be very fast with response to this question. Thank you.
yeah, I'm on it. So you need to, number one, acknowledge your achievements. Of course, when people give you feedback, they will identify your achievements, so you also need to acknowledge it. And but the next thing is you now need to identify areas that still need improvement after you have received, after you have acknowledged your uh, achievement, your win. You now need to look at which area or in what areas do I still need to improve. So you need to identify areas for improvement, and then you focus on progress, not perfection. You,
Mm,
you focus on progress, not perfection.
mm.
So you are
Yeah, we're together.
not saying that yes, I am perfect, but you are how you that is how you go about that. I think those three areas
All right, thank you
are
very much. So, what is your last word as we wrap up the conversation for today? What will be your last word for us?
all right. Number one, thank you so much for having me on this show. It's really
Thank you too
a
for
great
coming.
thing for me to be here. Thank you so much. And so, for those that are watching and listening to us, please follow Corporate Life Show with Makeden and follow me
Thank
if
you.
you're on LinkedIn, on Instagram. Follow us, and you get more. Like it's a corporate life. On this show, you get to know tips about jobs. You get to know where opportunities for you to employment and more information about that. You can get them, and when you follow us, you will get better. Thank you so much. I want to appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We want to appreciate you, all our listeners, and those who join us, those who will be watching this recorded version of this session tonight. Please, if you have any question, drop your question. We will definitely see to it. And remember, this is Corporate Life Show with Mark Aiden. I remain your humble host, Makati Adene. You can call me Mark Aiden. Next week is another time where we'll be spending time 1 hour discussing on important topics as it will or may affect you or someone you know. So watch out and remember, invite your friends. Thank you very much, Mr. Akin, for joining us on the show tonight. We wish you a wonderful night rest. And thank you. Bye bye to everyone.